look at that too, although I started, it was hard to go through the 2 hours, whatever. Anyhow, we're at 7:06 and we have just short of 20 folks on the call right now. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. First, I'll do so by introducing myself. I'm Stephen Linsky, and I'm serving at least for the moment during this year, we'll go over this later, as the clerk. We are, to emphasize it as many times as possible, a volunteer organization. We're all volunteers, and we're gardeners, and we love the garden, and that's why we volunteer. So what I'm going to do is, I think before we start off, and before I start posting things, is that I just think we should go around. Again, the real purpose of this meeting was, in advance of our launch this weekend, a chance for people to see each other, ask questions, get information, etc., while we're all at one time. And this actually is fortunate that we can kind of do this way, rather than in person at the garden. It's a little harder to have really big group things there, but hopefully we'll have that option at some point in time. So again, I'm Stephen Linsky, and I'm in plot B11. So when we go around, if you introduce yourself, if you know your plot, tell us. And we know that there are new folks, new gardeners joining us tonight, and we want to welcome them. And we understand they may not have their plot assigned, although that will be happening within 48 hours. So I'm just going to go down the list as I have it in my thing. So Mark Leonis, whose beautiful face I see here. Mark, I have you next on the list if you want to.
Thanks for the flattery, Stephen. Yeah, Mark Leonis, plot C5.
Susan Carmichael.
Hi, I'm Susan Carmichael. I'm a new gardener, so I don't know my plot, but I am so excited. I can't wait.
Isn't that great? So welcome, Susan. Marty?
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I know your names, and it's really nice to see faces. Thanks for joining. I'm Margie. I'm the one who sends you all those nagging emails, and I'm in D5. It's very nice to see you all, and welcome to everybody who's new.
Okay, thank you, Margie. D5. Ariana Kagan, if I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you did. I go by Ari.
Okay.
I'm a new gardener this year, but I'll be sharing plot B3 with Deb Friedman.
Oh, great. Welcome.
Thanks.
And that correct pronunciation was just an error.
That's great.
I was so figuring I was mispronouncing it, but anyhow, welcome. Caitlin Bunning.
I am Caitlin Bunning. I don't know the plot I have because I'm a new gardener also. And I brought my partner along because we're going to be sharing the plot. So nice to meet you all.
Okay. And who's the partner? Come on over. Come on over.
Hi, sorry, I just pulled a tick off myself, so I had to go do it.
Oh, goodness.
Way to go!
All right.
Get those ticks.
I'm Laura. Nice to meet you all.
Okay. Thank you, Laura, for coming. We're going to make sure that when you're on site that you have your tick collar on, okay?
Yeah.
Eliana Fiore.
Hello, I'm Eliana. I'm plot B4.
Okay. Thank you, Eliana. Eric Sioka.
Yep. Hi, I'm Eric Sioka, plot D6.
Okay. Excuse me 1 second here. Oh, D6. Okay. Jake Stalker.
Hey everyone, I'm Jake. I don't know my plot number, but I have the big birch pole over by the road that I inherited from someone, so you can find me over there.
Okay. Well, if you are kind of by the road, you're probably in row A, but...
Sounds about right.
Okay. A something. Janet Gula.
Oh, Janet's muted. Janet, you're muted.
Hi, sorry.
Oh.
I'm in
There you
B,
are.
I'm in B. Hi there. Hi everyone. I'm in B6 and this year it's my second year and I'm open to sharing the plot with somebody if you know of anyone.
Okay. Is that D as in dog or B as in boy?
B as in boy.
B as in boy. Okay.
Janet, would you like me to go on the waiting list and see if I can find someone to share, or you prefer to do it on your own?
No, I would love it if you put it on the waiting list. There's a bit of work to do this year. I'll just give you a heads up on that. I inherited it with a lot of weed block and it's time for it to come up and be retilled and everything. So yeah, if you could search the waiting list, that'd be wonderful.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Kat and Moe, I think that's Kat Freeman, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm Kat. I'm Maui.
Maui.
No, that's okay. We're new.
Okay. I would have figured that would have been M-A-U-I, but wrong.
Wrong.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks.
Lydia B.
Hi, I'm a new gardener this year. My name's Lydia Berry, and I'm gardening with my partner, Nick Ferlazzo, who's still at work right now. But
well, welcome.
Hi.
Melissa Bonacorso.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm also a new gardener. Don't know my plot yet. And I'm going to be sharing the plot with my roommate, Jess Whitney.
Okay, great. Welcome. Nellie Rogers.
Hi, I'm Nellie. I'm also new, so I don't know my plot yet, but I'm super excited.
And so are we. Welcome. Nicole? Right. Oh, right. You're off.
Yeah, sorry. I scrolled away for a second. Of course, that's when I get called on. Hi, folks. My name is Nicole Calero. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the treasurer for the community garden. And I am in plot B7,
yes.
I think.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarah King.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm in plot C3.
Okay.
Oh, and just, I guess since the tick thing already got brought up, the ticks are everywhere in the garden. It's like very disturbing, so be careful. I found like 2 just crawling around in my garden the other day, so
Yeah.
be weary.
Yeah. It's a good point because it's going to be it's been big years, and I know from Connecticut it's big. It's like twice what it was last year. So
yeah, COVID helps.
COVID doesn't help. Yeah, exactly. So Sarah Greenleaf.
Hello.
Howdy.
Sorry to be late.
No problem. Sarah, we're introducing ourselves and telling folks if you know what your plot is, what it is. If you don't, if you're new, then.
Oh, sure. Oh, gosh. What number is my plot? It's like number, I don't know what number it is.
We have these pop quizzes from time to time.
Yeah, I should pay attention.
No problem.
It's the closest one to the mulch pile that's closest to the parking lot.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And I believe now there are 3 folks who are participating by phone. And let me make this point because apparently there were some people who were asking about this. On the Zoom meetings, when you see the link, I include the phone numbers that you can call in on. So if you have a phone, you can call on that and you just enter in the meeting ID number when you prompt it. And if you have a smartphone, you can actually also participate by video as well. But if you have if you don't, then you can just participate as these folks are doing, just by audio. So I'm going to call on the person whose last 4 digits on phone number is 1990.
So you would press star to unmute yourself to be able to speak to us.
Hi, we hear you, I think.
Come on.
Well, maybe we don't. I don't know. It still shows.
Can you unmute her or him?
Well, it's not. It's showing that her phone's not. I'm clicking on it, but it's. Well, let's do this. Let's move to the next person by phone who's for.
Oh, she just unmuted.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Hi.
1990. It's your turn. Oh my.
1990, we can see you're unmuted. Can you say something for us?
I'll tell you what. She's there. He's there. We'll find out. Let's move on. 1398. If you could unmute and say hello and introduce yourself. Failing that. 6311.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, yeah. Who's that? Okay.
Can
This
you
is
hear me?
1399. Yes, we can.
This is 1398.
Yes.
Okay, I am Chris Ian. I'm a new gardener this year, and I'm very excited to get started. I don't know my plot number yet.
Yeah. Okay, great, Chris. Thank you. And what was the last name again? It was Chris.
Ian, H-E-O-N.
Oh, great. Okay. What about 6311? Go back to 1990.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Hi.
Great. Hi, this is Becca Merrill.
Oh, hi, Becca.
Hi. Let's see, I'm a new gardener, and I have to ask a question. I have a recently broken leg, and I wonder if I know the plot number I want, and so my question is it possible for me to be an absentee claimer?
Oh, I see.
Hello?
Yeah, no, we still hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry, that's been difficult. So yeah, I can actually be there Saturday, but if I could, if you do this, I have a recently broken femur that's healing, and it's quite painful. So I'm just putting it out there. If I can, I know the plot I want, and it says it's open, and I wonder if you could bend the rules so I could be an absentee, first come, first serve.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I understand the situation. Well, we're going to discuss a lot of things. I will mention also, Becca, and to folks that one of the things we also are doing this year is we're getting a delivery of compost. And the reason I mention that now for you, Becca, and for others is because you might want to give some thought in light of your circumstances, maybe of trying to see if you can get someone who can be there for you so that they can also kind of get the compost in as well. So that might be
okay. Well, I'll come because I really have fallen in love with a certain plot that says it's open, and I'd love to get it. So, and it said first come, first serve. So, but it starts at 10. The open garden.
Yeah, well, actually, I know I'll be there earlier because we're waiting for the we're getting that delivery, And we don't have a precise time unless Mark has an update on that, so.
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, he finally did call back, and
Wait.
I know we're going out of order.
Hold on.
Yeah, we are going out of order on that thing, but just so people know when people will be there. I will be there as early as possible.
I can't. What time? How early will someone be there?
I'm sorry. Can we pause before we start diving into garden business? And I think the introductions are completed at this point. And can we go back to the review of minutes before we start putting things on the table, please?
Yeah.
I'm just asking one question. What time does it start?
I understand, but I feel like we need to discuss that, and I would like to finish opening the meeting.
Oh, okay. I thought it was definite. I thought it was. Excuse me. I thought it was definite.
No,
carry on.
That's okay. Thank you, Nicole. Well, we are making our way through this agenda, and I believe, yes, at this point in time, we have concluded that was our last introduction. There are 21 participants at the meeting. I'm going to put up right now, if people would like to see it, is the meeting agenda. So bear with me 1 second here.
So for folks who are currently on the phone and who can't see the chat right now, this is the same meeting minutes and meeting agenda that Stephen emailed to the group list earlier this week, so that the minutes could be reviewed, and they're also found on the Easthampton city website.
Thank you. Does everyone see them? And again, this is the same thing that is posted every time we for our notice. So, and the reason this document actually serves two purposes. One, it is the minutes from our last meeting, including the link to the recording that was taken. So we will be voting on the adoption, but it also, we follow the exact same order each and every time. So it's a set agenda. Basically, call to order. We will identify all those folks who are present. You'll see below that, it says public comment. That's not for gardeners. That's for people from the public who are not gardeners. We rarely, if ever, have anyone, but last month, believe it or not, we had someone, one of the city councilors was here to say hello, etc. And you'll see he's indicated there. Then we move to acceptance of the minutes. For the it really should be just the folks who were there, so that they can verify that the minutes were as they recall, or whether there are any changes or adoption or additions to the minutes made. So the floor is open for any changes made. Nicole, you have something. Go ahead.
I do. I'm sorry. One thing I would like reflected is that we did vote last time to pay the late fees, which the city will not pay out of our petty cash.
Yes, thank you for that reminder.
Thank you.
And I will make a note of that. Okay. Any other additions or amendments? Hearing and seeing none, I will just ask, and you can indicate by raising your hand if you know how to find that little hand thing for the adoption of the minutes. All in favor of adoption, please indicate aye.
Aye.
Aye. Or you can just raise your hand. You don't need to use the thing. Anyone opposed? Hearing and seeing none. So the minutes with the amendment as signified by Nicole are adopted. Okay, that brings us to the next part of our meeting, which is the treasurer's report, and that is Nicole. And you'll see again that this is a link below that, which is where we kind of post the spreadsheets, etc. So Nicole, I'll leave that to you.
Thanks, Stephen. So for those of you who are new, what I basically do as the treasurer is I put all of the information about income, expenditures into that spreadsheet, which is linked, and then I kind of talk a little bit at every meeting about what's going on in that spreadsheet. So long story short, oh gosh, where is the spreadsheet now? One of the tabs of the spreadsheet reflects how many people have paid their registration fees. I am going to double check that information. I have a lot of people already entered. Those of you who send in your checks and have received notification that your plot, you're good to go. The next tab is for petty cash. So as you may know already, petty cash is like cash that we have in an envelope to pay little bits of things. I have a note here for Aubuchon's Hardware because I was informed by the person working on the pollinator garden, whose name is Karen, I believe, that she has some receipts for out-of-pocket expenses that she paid at Aubuchon's. She's going to get those receipts for me, and they will be paid from petty cash because they are not the same as purchase orders. So just a quick review, purchase orders are funds that the city pays via invoice. So this is different from somebody swipes a card, the city doesn't reimburse them, we do out of petty cash. But instead, the city has monies that we have voted on to pay for expenses for the garden. And we have 5 vendors set up this year. We have Flurries, Bay Path, Easthampton Feed, Broadbrook, and Aubuchon's. So already for this year, we have a new invoice from Flurries, which was sent to me by Frank for lawnmower maintenance. There is an invoice that will be that is pending from Bear Path when they deliver the compost this weekend. And there is a existing invoice that Steven sent me for Aubuchon's Hardware for $23.95. So I wanted to bring up 2 things in addition to this report tonight. One is I would like to provide Aubuchon's with a short list of people who are authorized to charge on behalf of the garden. So what I'm going to motion right now is that short list is Steven and Frank and Karen from the pollinator plot are the people from the community garden who are identified as being able to spend at Aubuchon's in our name. So I'm proposing that to vote. Can we approve those 3 individuals to spend at Aubuchon in our name?
Okay, motion on the floor as part of Nicole's report to authorize people so that we can get the materials from Aubuchon. I should point out we used to. Aubuchon is new to us this year, so.
You need a second?
Sure.
I second Nicole's motion.
Okay,
thanks, Mark.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? None. We can always revote this and change it later if someone else has to do it, so it's not etched in stone. It's just the beginning, so we can get going.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that motion. The motion is adopted.
Okay, thank you.
Nicole, do you want me to? Do you want to share the others? I mean,
Sure. Yes, I'm happy to. People, obviously it's for the people on screen. I love sharing my spreadsheets. It's not for everyone, but I'm happy to review it very quickly.
So let me allow you to do that.
Who was excited about spreadsheets? It's true. All right, I'll try and keep it quick. Oh, I unfortunately don't have the ability at the moment.
No, you do now.
No, I've been disabled. Oh wait, yes I do. Never mind. I take it back.
I just able to.
All right. So as I was saying before, this is what we've budgeted, what we had rolled over from last year, I should say. All of this money. We approved at our last meeting, we approved increases by these amounts for all of those vendors. This row here is the total of expenses for each of those vendors. And then the remaining balance down here is the remaining amount. So all in all, if we wanted to look at how much we budgeted for vendors for this particular year, it would be the totals of this row and this row put together. And then this is what we're spending down here. Petty cash, we currently have a balance of $252. I am anticipating some receipts from Karen for Aubuchon's for previous purchases. Thank you folks for voting her to be an approved spender at Aubuchon's. We'd like to be able to keep the spending out of the city's budget, or our budget within the city when possible, to avoid expenditures out of people's personal pockets. That was a complicated sentence. And then our running balance is, as of October 2020, and I have to re-ask for a new updated budget from the city, we have this much. We paid that much last year. we had a starting balance of $4,069.77. This ending balance will will contain all of the income we have from people paying their plot fees, and then all of the invoices, which will accumulate on this sheet by the end of the year. I haven't moved any information over yet because we're still pretty early in the year. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and ask if anyone has any questions for me. I see someone's unmuted, and I'm not sure if that's because there's a question on the phone. Someone on the phone is unmuted. We're good? All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Okay, Mark has moved. Is there a second to adopt? Someone can
I'll
do
second.
That. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, your first second, Susan. Didn't hurt. Okay. Any further discussion on the treasurer's report? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate aye.
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 Is there anyone in opposition? Hearing and seeing none, the treasurer's report is adopted.
I think so too.
So thank you so much. I'm going to go back now. Get that agenda back up for a second. Okay, so you will see next time, Nicole, you will forward me the link to this, unless it's the same one to...
It's the same one.
Oh, it's always the same one?
Yep.
Oh, that makes it easy. Oh, great. Okay, perfect. You'll see, folks, that the next thing on the agenda is the operations report. This actually is always, I'm not saying anything else is less important, but this is very important. You know, this is where we kind of update everything. Frank Johnson is our kind of point person in operations. Many of you have probably seen Frank. He's a longtime gardener, and he's among those folks that kind of were there at the beginning, for whom we are terrifically thankful for, because they really carried the garden really up until last year, when we kind of ran into the pandemic, and we did everything we could to maintain the garden operations. And but it was a kind of shakeup. And when I mentioned earlier that we are a volunteer organization, and people just kind of took the reins a little bit, stepped up. But this year, in order to get better sustainability, we strongly encourage everyone just to kind of pair up a little bit. So you get to, in case we need to, well, as an example, Nicole's been handling, the finances, but it'd be great, okay, right, to have someone that can work with Nicole, that Nicole can train. And so if there's ever a circumstance where we need to have that backup, it's in place. Same with me. Same with Mark, who's going to report a little later. Same with Frank. But Frank had a very special birthday tonight. That his wife, it's so special that his wife, absolutely denied him access to joining our meeting tonight, which is what he normally would do. However, I'm going to get out of the minutes for 1 second so that I can post his report, and we can kind of go through it. So bear with me 1 sec here. This is Frank's report. Frank, it's also, part of it you'll see is that he's in charge of mower maintenance. And there you go. He talks about that. And actually, that reminds me, and I should have had it up, so I was going, because Frank wanted to make a point that, and I saw it myself, that we had a mower the other day, and who ought to be thanked, because she did a terrific job. And Frank, I know she's not on the meeting tonight, but I'm blanking on her name. It's
Cheryl Colton.
Oh, it was. Oh, Cheryl, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Well, thank you, Cheryl. I witnessed it firsthand. It was an awesome display of mowing, because the beginning part is hard to do.
Hi, I am here.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I couldn't remember the first name, and the Colton.
Okay.
Right, yeah, it was totally awesome. Frank is, well, people can't look at the report. I don't have to go through it, but I guess it's hard to get close to a lot of places there. So I would say definitely need a trimmer. So I guess Frank is on the outlook of that. Apart from ticks, thistle is something that has plagued us from year to year. So Frank makes a point that it should never be too soon to be on the lookout for thistle, although it's probably a little too early.
Oh, there's tons of thistle in there.
Already?
Yeah, tons.
So that's how oblivious I am.
There's thistle gardens.
Oh, okay. We are going to be putting out this weekend the hoses and nozzles. The water has been turned on by DPW a few days ago. Plus, we got some rain, which was great. But we know some of the nozzles are not in great shape. So we're going to get them out, and we will be purchasing new nozzles in time for when we really need to use them, which will be probably soon enough. We have acquired a couple of 5-gallon buckets. They are in the shed, and we're going to get to Saturday altogether, so I'm not going to say anything further about that. The compost piles, which are near the end of the garden, need to be maintained, and so Frank has a certain thing about boards and cardboard and anything that finds its way somehow into the compost, but they really aren't the organic matter that we're looking to get in the leave for the compost. So please, if you can, it's not really a junk pile, it is a compost pile. And then, as I mentioned, there are a lot of folks who have used, and myself included, cardboard. But there are some who have issues with that, Frank being one. So I will make note of that in his report there. And let's see. Frank likes to use newspaper with a wood chip. A little advice about weeding. And then the last thing, which we will go over both now and on site when we get there, is that you probably know that there's a main spigot. It's in that little shed that's kind of by the road. It's got a little hook lock to it. That is the spigot that has to be on. It's got an arm that you put, but the idea is we don't really want, someone should make sure, particularly if they are the last person to leave the site, that spigot is shut down, that arm is put back over, because we do have issues of leakage over the course of the summer, and we don't want to waste a lot of water and cause a lot of a big mess around that shed. So these, what you have here has been posted on the website if you want to get to them. So I'm going to get out of this for a moment. I want to post one other thing, if people can bear with me for 1 second here. And what I'm posting now is something that we had up on the main shed for everyone to see last year, particularly because we were in a different situation with the advent of the pandemic. But I just want folks to see this as well, because some of the things are just good sense things. While we know bringing your own tools is a burden to some, we do have tools, and that this year They are in the shed. We had locked the shed last time. It is going to be with a combination lock. This time it will just have the lock for which it's a key lock. And for folks who are new gardeners, if you want to have a key to that lock, we have had extra keys made that will be distributed on site on Saturday. We ask that you pay a deposit on that, and you'll get that deposit back if you return the key. If you don't return the key, they'll get the deposit back. So if you want a key, we've collected, I believe by my practice, $5. That's what I saw in that. It'd be great if you can bring that. I'll have a key for you. In terms of the shed this year, one at a time. So we are going to practice social distancing throughout the site, and really the place in which we are least potentially social distance is the shed. So simple rule, while you'll be able to access it, please one at a time. You'll also find disinfectant in the shed. It's in a spray bottle that's right above when you're in the shed, if you look right above the door in the frame, it's sitting up there. And there's an extra bottle down on the right-hand side of the shed. The best practice is that this is disinfectant that if you spray on the tools, is disinfected after 10 minutes when it dries. So the best thing to make sure that it's safe for folks is that when you've concluded your use of the tools, spray then, okay? Because it's unlikely that anyone else will use it within 10 minutes, and then we know it's disinfected. And that's about it. We consult with the city's health department about what to do. And I think this year we're excited, but we'll use common sense and again, try to maintain social distancing on site, which means that you should bring your mask and use it when you are within range of other folks. But we managed to get through last year remarkably, so we're very excited about this year. So I'm going to take this down. I'm going to get us back to the agenda again. Now, as we're working our way down this, as I mentioned before, you'll see that we are planning to open Garden for Everyone this Saturday in 2 days on May 8th. Like I said, I'll make a point to be there early for folks. And now I'm going to turn to you, Mark, if you'd be kind enough to kind of give us a report on the compost, and also kind of at this point, maybe we will talk about, even though we got we'll get back to the donation garden and the pollinated garden in just a bit.
Sure. Yeah, historically over the last few years, we've tried to get compost to gardeners to kind of help enrich their gardens, and we've had to have that delivered usually by a provider. Bear Path Compost out of Whately has been our provider a couple of years, and last year we used Four Seasons in Hadley. This year, for various reasons, we decided to use Bear Path again, and I've called their offices, and they agreed to deliver 10 yards of compost this coming Saturday, May 8th. And I just talked to Mike today. He returned my call from Bear Path, and he will be there at the garden at approximately 9:15, between 9 and 9:30, but he said he saw it about 9:15. My understanding is, and Stephen, you can correct me, is that this is available to everybody in the gardens this year. This year's a little bit of a different year. In the past year, people have kind of bought into compost and paid some extra money in, but because of some other complications, this year we've decided to make it available to everyone. And I think we decided that maybe it would be a certain amount of buckets full per gardener, per garden plot that would be available. And I think the number was 7, Stephen, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Because there's, I guess, 35 buckets to a cubic yard, and we kind of did the math and figured out that 7 would be a safe way. So, when the compost arrives, and it'll be in a big heap, hopefully up front by the garden. Last year we had somebody come in and they got stuck, and it was very comical in a way, but we got the compost. And just to take your 7 buckets, but no, please, no more at this time, just because that's what we have for everybody. If you need additional compost, you can go up to Bear Path in Whately. I was there last Saturday, and if you bring your own truck or if your own buckets, you can purchase compost directly from them. And they're open, they have a website, and they're open business hours Monday through Saturday, I believe. So that's the plan for that. For the future, we will probably have a better organized plan wherein the costs of the compost will be passed on to gardeners, but it'll be during the registration period, and we'll inform you more about that as the months go on, as we head to next year. I think that's about it for compost. Any other things, Stephen, we should say, or questions from anybody?
Yeah, Margie, do you?
Yeah. How many buckets in a wheelbarrow again?
I don't know. We just kind of decided to roll with buckets because that's what Bear Path says. They have, it's on their website. It says 35 5-gallon buckets per yard. So we took the total number of yards, multiplied it by 35, and divided by the gardeners, I guess, and that's how we came up with 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All right. I have that somewhere in my notes. If I find it, I can let people know because.
Yeah, what might be useful is to, if you're loading a wheelbarrow, is just to use a bucket measure.
Yeah. Take the buckets and throw it into the wheelbarrow.
Right.
Just to be clear, so that people know that we're trying to do this so it's as fair as possible. The reality is they tell us how much they're delivering, like in this instance, 10 cubic yards, give or take. So it's not always exact, nor are our measurements, but we don't. There were some folks last year who felt that they didn't get their share. They didn't get to it right away, whatever. So we're really going to try. We can't police it, but we really are asking people to be respectful of that amount and not to take any more. Certainly at this point. And the other thing I want to point out is that this is by plot, right? Our calculations, we know how many plots we have, but the reality is that people share plots, right? We have a few folks who are sharing, so it's not by person; it is by plot, right? If you're sharing a plot, right, you're splitting up that 7. Right. So we have a couple of 5-gallon buckets that are there to be used, but if you happen to have a couple or one, bring it along. So it just will make it a little easier for people to get their compost in shape and up and running. So thank you, Mark, for helping to facilitate that.
Sure thing.
Can I just ask or suggest something?
Hi, Sarah. Yeah.
I think this is what Mark was maybe alluding to, but putting collecting the money after the fact is a little annoying or time consuming. I wonder if you just put it on the form when people sign up.
That's our plan going forward.
Cool. I think you'd even get a surplus of money for people who are like, oh, I'll throw on the $5 and then they don't end up using it or whatever. And then it would probably be less of a loss than
our kind of discussion about compost came after the registration had begun, so we couldn't do that this way this year, but we definitely have talked about what you're describing and think that's the way we'll roll next year. We'll put it on the registration form.
That's so great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. Thank you, Sarah.
I have a question if there's time real quick. I'm not sure if I missed something or misunderstanding, but if we're unable to make it on Saturday, because I have work, will there be any way for me to get compost after that or what?
Oh, yeah. So to answer that, which is a good point, yeah, the compost is going to be there. And if everyone adheres to the bucket rule that we're suggesting, it should be right there for you so that you can get it
whenever you get there.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to pause for a minute because I did notice there were a few folks. I think, Cheryl, when you came in, did I give you a chance to allow you to introduce yourself before?
Hi there.
I'm not sure I did.
That's okay. I was able to make it, and yeah. So I'm Cheryl. I don't know how to do. I don't think I did the video. So anyway, but I'm Cheryl, and I did do the mowing, and I was out there for 2.5 hours. Just to let everyone know.
Wow.
It was really
Nice
high,
job.
and there is, just to add to somebody, I believe I had spoke with Frank, and I wanted to let him know how it went, and I believe it is thistle. Is it that pointy kind of plant, green, and it's prickly?
Yeah.
There is a lot of it, and I was gonna Google to see if we could I know you can use Dawn white vinegar and water that usually kills weeds, and I was wondering if that would kill it, or do we need to dig this stuff up? And also, just to add in, because I also do a lot of mowing, like Frank and a couple others people do. I've never seen so much thistle this year. I mean, I've never seen it so much in all the. This is our 3rd year, and I've never seen such bad thistle so early.
Wow.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that.
Yeah, thank
I agree.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I agree.
Oh, okay.
Ask you a question. I mean, I generally would defer to Frank about that, but I mean, there's nothing better than getting it out by the roots, but.
Yeah, I was going to say Frank's notes included that suggestion, getting it up by the roots, but I am always willing to try something else if it's going to be a little less labor intensive. I would like to make a proposal that the next trip to Avishon's includes some Dawn and some white vinegar and some spray bottles.
I know they have white vinegar because I saw that the other day. So I'll look. I'm sure they have some kind of something too. So
I don't know if that works. I just know that concoction is a better one to use if you don't want to use like Roundup or something like that. But let me Google and look into whether that does work. Okay.
Right. Cheryl, after you're done Googling, would you follow up with an email to Frank? Do you have Frank's direct email?
I will.
Perfect.
I will email him.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Sure. Thank you again for more. And by the way, I know you just muted yourself, but if you want to appear on the screen, go down to the bottom left-hand corner, the video camera, and it has a slash through it, and just click on that, and you'll be here. There were 2 other folks who kind of came in late. Lisa Willowy, and Jamie Kolasica. Are you there?
Hi, yeah. So this is Jamie. I'm actually, my wife, Christine Kolika Eknes, is the one that put in the application for us.
Oh, yes.
So that's probably the name that our plot is under.
Yeah.
But she got stuck at work, so I hopped on just to hear what's happening.
Okay. So you guys are new, so you don't...
Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us. We're really excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. Lisa, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Okay. Want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I've been gardening there since the beginning, and I look forward to continuing gardening there.
Lisa, do you know what plot you are?
I think I'm A11, but I'm not positive of the numbers because I know that the first couple in row A got chopped off, so I'm the next to the last in row A.
Okay, great. And Cheryl, I didn't ask you if you wanted to identify what plot you are in.
Yes, I believe it's D10, and my husband has A, B, C, D, E10? Or what? Do you know what you have? Oh, D. You know what?
C10, maybe.
I don't know how it works. Mark, you're on the same row as me. Are you D, Mark?
C.
C. I believe I'm C10 and my husband is D10.
Okay.
And I know we're not talking about it, but I did ask, and I think it's Margie who's on this. Yeah. Are there any plots left? Because when I was mowing, there's some nasty looking plots. And I was like, well, I know some of them got abandoned. And I'm just throwing this out for when we get to it, because I am interested, which back in January when I sent out an email, I was interested in having another plot. So I just throwing that out if we get to it or not. If there's something extra, just keep me in mind, please.
When I'm up, I can talk about that.
You are up, actually.
I'm up. Okay.
You're the next thing. See? Outreach report.
Okay, so as everybody might know by now, I am the contact person. So I want everyone to feel free to send me emails with whatever question you have. There's no silly question. If you want to say something, whatever, you can email me. And if I don't know exactly, I will either forward the email to the person who might know more than me, and a lot of people know more than me, or I will give you their email address. We had a waiting list this season, finally, of 25 people. Last meeting was only 17, and it grew that much in the last month. There were, 15 people were offered plots, 3 declined. 1 I got no response from, so I moved on to someone else. There are 12 open plots. And to answer your question, I think it was Cheryl, they were filled. 12 new people have joined us. Actually 13, because 1 person is sharing a plot. And we still have a waiting list of 9 people. Now, I'm probably going to email those folks in the next couple of weeks I'll give it a little time to make sure nobody drops out, and let them know that they can keep their names on the waiting list for next season, or to see if anybody drops out eventually. But right now we have no more open plots. I had inquired at some point about people getting second plots, and I received an email from Frank saying that we don't usually do that unless there are plots that are just haven't been offered to anyone. So I kind of had also hoped to get a second plot, but it looks like we're not doing that unless we agree to change that. And I'm thinking, as long as there's 9 people on the waiting list, that's kind of going to be a ways off for current gardeners to be able to have second plots. I think it's different if you have 2 people in the family gardening 1 plot, and then 1 person wants another plot. They can put their name on the waiting list. But I don't think anything is written in stone. You know, we're all volunteers. We can all get together and make different decisions. I'm assuming that that's a possibility, because that's what's been happening since I've been here. I think this is also my 3rd season. So far this season, no second plots for anybody, but maybe Stephen, you can put it in the minutes about a question about if current gardeners can get second plots or put their names on the waiting list, and you see what everybody thinks. I don't know. What do you think about that, Stephen?
Well, we maintain a waiting list, and we want to accommodate as many folks as we can. I mean, if there are existing gardeners who would like a second plot, I agree that they could kind of go on the waiting list, but they're going to go, after the folks who don't have any plots, obviously. But I think that would I think that's the appropriate process.
That seems to be the policy that has been followed for years.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say, except I would like to throw in my 2 cents about weeds. And there's another nasty weed that has been appearing as jungles in some gardens, and that's ragweed. If anyone has allergies like I do to ragweed, when the ragweed is flowering, it's really hard to be at the garden. So I'm going to send an email out with pictures of ragweed and thistle. So, I mean, gardeners who've been there probably know by now what they look like, but so new gardeners can be aware if you're not already. I'll send this email out, and please try to pull up the ragweed by the roots also. Ragweed, unlike thistle, is really easy to pull, especially when it's little. It comes right up. So try to recognize it. If you're not sure and you see me out there, feel free to come over, and I can come over to the garden and take a look and confirm whether it's ragweed or not. Because there are also some weeds that look like ragweed but are not. But actually, they should come up too.
Yeah.
There's one other thing that I think the first time I've experienced this is a person who did not weed their plot at all, did not respond to requests to weed their plots. Their plot was considered abandoned, and we have offered it to someone else. So that can happen. I just wanted to make that point. So if you don't feel like weeding or keeping up with the garden, please let me know so we can offer it to the next eager gardener. And if you have any questions, feel free. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. It's a really good point. We can't overemphasize the weeding thing. It seems like in some respects we may be off to a bountiful weed season. If you can't personally weed your plot, if you can find someone who will do that for you, that'd be great. The other thing I wanted to point out is that we do have a pile of wood chips. That's right up, by the parking lot, frankly, those chips were typically used to maintain the passageways between plots. For those folks who notice now, a lot of those have become overgrown, but really to contain the kind of weeds we're talking about, we really need to maintain those much better. And this is the time to get to them early and to go over to the wood chip pile and throw some wood chips on them. That's what it's there for. So Frank also serves as the weed meister, and he will be on you as he should be if you don't. And as Margie pointed out, if you can't, you put other plots at risk when you're not, maintaining your own that way in regard to weeds. So we would have to consider it abandoned if that's the case. We hope it doesn't, but since all you new folks are here tonight, this is what we want to convey. Speaking of new folks, there was one other person who's just recently joined us by telephone. If you wanted to introduce yourself, here's a chance to. I didn't catch the number as it kind of came in, but all right. Well, we'll move on. So actually, in terms of outreach, there's really two components of outreach. Margie is the kind of internal outreach, it's really kind of in-reach, member services. But to the point that we made earlier, we're all volunteers again. It's a lot of work that Margie puts into it. And, if there was someone who's willing to kind of help her out and to learn also about the process, that would be great, so we could kind of buddy up. And so I'm hopeful that people will volunteer in that regard, but you might expect a knock on your virtual door, perhaps, because we need to have more volunteers to get the whole thing running. The other component of outreach is actually the outreach part, which we maintain a Facebook page, and Eric, as of last meeting, kindly was agreeable to replacing the Stella Cotton, who handled it for us last year. So, Eric, if there's anything you want to say about our Facebook page, here's a chance.
I got the keys, so I can start posting stuff. If anybody wants anything posted, send me an email, or I guess if you message to the Facebook group, it'll come up to me. I wasn't sure what my responsibilities were going to be. I'm going to do my best to resist the urge to post links and funny cartoons and whatever else I would do with Facebook all day. I'll keep that on my personal page instead.
I think it's appropriate to, post garden-related humor.
Okay. Just everybody let me know if I go overboard.
You know any thistle jokes?
Sure, I could find some in time.
Okay. But one of the things you'll notice, and this actually is a great segue to our next agenda item, which is the donation garden. One of the things that I used to send Stella, and you'll probably see it, Eric, is that photos of each donation that we made, the Easthampton Community Center, as we did that. So it's next on the agenda. Mark, you want to join me in making some comments about the garden? Go ahead.
Yeah, we part of our commitment to food security for folks in the community as well, our own and for others, is to try to think about those in need. And for the last, I don't know how many years it's been, Stephen, we've donated food from the gardens to the Easthampton Community Center, and we do that as a matter of form usually once a week during the gardening season. Most of the produce that we've been giving folks has been either stuff that is in plots that are officially designated as donation garden and cultivated by members as part of their work commitment, and or donations that individual gardeners say, hey, I've got too much lettuce, too many beans, I've got all this food and I can't eat it fast enough, and I'd like to share it with some of my neighbors in need. And so we provided a cooler up near the shed where people can put their produce in, their extra produce, usually no later than Sunday night. And then Monday morning, Stephen or myself will take what's in the cooler and bring it to the Easthampton Community Center, so folks in need will have that available to them. And we just wanted to say, I encourage you, if there's any way you can, I know everybody's has to feed their own family, and that's most important, but if there's any way you can allocate some small portion of your growing to other folks in need, that would be wonderful. And just feel free to, again, harvest what you can and put it into the cooler. Anything else, Stephen?
Yeah, to me, this is, I think it's a very important part of it. We're a public entity through the grace of certain Easthampton residents. The land was donated for our use. The water is given to us by the city. And, we charge a very nominal charge to participate. So giving back is important. And I think, frankly, last year was a difficult year because we had to move so quickly. And so the donation garden that we had, which I largely tended, was quite modest, and didn't produce much. I think there's a fundamental choice that we can make and make it tonight, which is, rather than, particularly since from Margie's report, we have still extra folks on the waiting list. We could use the plots that we've been using for the donation garden and just give them to people, and have new gardeners. As long as, to Mark's point, people are willing to contribute from their own plots. And I think that there's actually an advantage to that, because we can't replicate the great variety that we can offer, our residents in need that we give the produce to by our own modest donation garden compared to everything that everyone grows. I mean, there's just such great variety and there's such great volume too, if people are willing to do it. Now, to make it easy, Mark mentioned we do maintain 2 coolers by the main shed on the backside. And I do go and make a delivery on Monday mornings. But if you are willing to donate, but you can't literally just kind of get there and harvest, I'm happy to do the harvesting. That way, actually, you can't get any fresher than the produce that we're bringing over that's just been harvested. I'm happy to do that, but you need to contact us, and you don't need to give a lot of advance notice. Just say, hey, I'm in D5. I have a whole bunch of whatever it is. Maybe it's tomatoes, maybe it's beans, just things that you just happen to have on. Feel free to harvest, X amount. And I'm happy to do it because I think it's really the best way to handle it. And that way, rather than kind of Because otherwise, we need a crew that's willing to volunteer right now to manage a donation garden, to do the planting, to do the weeding, all the things that are maintained. And it's just really too much to do on the side. We would need a dedicated crew of a few people to do that. So I put this question out to the body here. Which way do people want to go? Do we want to try to maintain a donation garden? And if so, who are the folks who are willing to do it? Or alternatively, do people think that we can manage by really just contributing a little portion of what you're growing at any point in time, so that we can have a nice donation that we make on a weekly basis? So the floor is open. Any motions? Any thoughts? Any emotions?
Well, I think it's hard to say for people because I think especially new gardeners, they don't really know or may not know exactly what they're going to grow and what the harvest will be like. So it's hard to commit. I know last year I thought, well, I don't have that much. I have such a big family. But then I realized my kale was just like popping, and it dawned on me, oh my God, I can contribute kale every week. There's so much of it. So sometimes it's hard to know, especially if you're new, what you will have and what you can contribute.
Well, you make a great point, Marty. Your kale last year was fantastic, and it was a joy to harvest it and bring it over on Mondays because it was just beautiful. And there were others who had that too, and I'm happy to do it. But there is whether the gardeners are new or not. This was an all gardeners meeting. The reality is, unless people are willing to step up tonight, okay, and say, I'll manage a donation garden, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to do it. I did it last year.
So anybody interested in doing that as community service?
I'm interested in sharing that with someone or sharing the task of the donation garden. This is Becca. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Becca, we can. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, thank you for that offer.
You're welcome.
And you should know that.
The plot I get, I'm going to mainly be growing vegetables for donation anyway.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to add is, in addition to the donation garden, right next to it, we've just started a pollinator garden. We had
I saw that.
Karen, who unfortunately I don't think is on the call tonight, but she started it. So we've actually made progress there. So I should point out that that also needs a crew, and that is a little different than the donation garden, because this is really for the benefit of all the gardeners to have pollinators in the garden. So the floor is also open for people who would say that they're interested in working with Karen to maintain and grow that pollinator garden. So Becca, is that also something that you have an interest in? I don't mean to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm just asking, because if you have an interest in that, let's see if we have enough to sustain the pollinator garden before we get to the donation garden, because we're.
Oh yeah. Just to say, I have a 40 by 40 pollinator garden that I've created and had for 22 years.
Oh.
I'm moving from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I know a lot about weeds and gardening and a lot always to know, but I'm a very seasoned gardener.
Yeah, I'm going to make a point then. I'm making a little mark in my notes here that to have, to you and Karen to connect.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be fantastic, because we really want to get this off the ground this year. So that's fantastic.
If
you're willing to do that. But in terms, getting back for a second to the donation garden, which will need immediate tending, be weeded, for produce to be selected, seeds planted, plants planted, the floor is open for anyone who wants to step into that role. Otherwise, then I think that we just need a commitment from folks who seriously, as Becca just did and as Margie has also done, is saying, yeah, I'm willing to make donations so that we can, for my own garden, so that we can, do right by the city and make a nice delivery to the community garden. So the floor is open to hear people's comment about whether or not they want to donate from their own or whether they're willing to participate in running a donation garden.
Well, Steve and I would be certainly interested in being part of a donation garden committee, if you will. It could be a couple of us or something, if we decide to go that route. But certainly one way or another, I think it'll be wonderful if people can commit to donating some of their own produce over the course of the growing season.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else want to?
I just have a question. Where is the pollinator garden up there?
Okay, so this is all along row A. So if you know where the bench, the picnic bench is, when you go to the site and you see the picnic bench, which is by the road, it's the plots that are, if you were looking, if the road was behind you and you were looking at the picnic bench, they are the plots to the left in that front row of the picnic bench.
So there's two plots.
Yes.
Okay, and I think we talked about this last year. So are there special plants or perennials there for the pollinators, for the bees?
Well, Karen has, I think the answer to that question is yes. I'm hesitant to say a lot more because Karen could give those specifics, but I think
I've been in touch with Karen.
Yeah.
She's about ready to plant them. Yeah. I think Nicole had said that she turned in some receipts, so I'm thinking she went and bought some plants. And last season she spent getting the plot ready. And
yes,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Margie. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. You go ahead.
I was going to say what she told me she has, and I have not yet received from her, are receipts from last year from doing the prep and from this year where she's done some purchasing. And that reminds me, I want to make an addendum to my earlier motion. I was going to ask if those three people, Mark, Karen, and who was the other one?
Becca?
Stephen.
Yeah,
How can I forget you? I'm looking right at you. Be put on the purchasing list for both Abashan and Easthampton Feed. My apologies for not remembering Easthampton Feed sooner.
We'll take that as an amended motion. And I'm going to assume that based on the vote, let's put it this way, any objections to adding Easthampton Feed? No. For those three folks. And while we're on the topic very briefly about Easthampton Feed, a wonderful local business. If you haven't been there, go there, okay? They're really nice people. They're extremely helpful. If you say you are from the Easthampton Community Garden, there's a 10% discount.
Oh.
So, and they basically can, if they don't have it, they can order it for you. So they're great, great people. I get a bunch of things from them, including the hay, which they sell, which is really useful for laying down this time of year. It's heated hay, so it doesn't have live seeds. So thank you for mentioning that, Nicole, because they are one of our, they do business with us, and they're great people.
And can I just add, it's a fascinating store as well for anybody who hasn't been there. It's totally fascinating. They have all sorts of unusual things.
They do.
And if you have a dog, they have lots of dog supplies, different kinds, and birds. Yeah, they're wonderful people.
That's the other stuff I get from them, a lot of dog stuff. So they're great. There was someone else, I'm going to pause one other second because someone else just came in who's on the phone. Is there someone who hasn't had a chance to introduce themselves?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I've been on since the beginning, but my unmuting wasn't working, so I logged back in on a different number, and now it seems to be working. So this is Karen. I have a plot. I think it's C2, and I'm working on the pollinator garden. So I heard your part. Yeah, I'm looking forward
I'd love to meet
you. Yes, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Going back to the minutes on the original from last week,
yes,
it's noted that I made a comment on metal in the compost,
yes.
metal in the mulch or the compost. It's not metal; it's herbicide. So that was the issue. Herbicide that when it's put out on the pasture, the cows eat it. It goes through their system and into their poop, totally unchanged. And then when you put it in your garden, it starts deforming or killing your plants. So I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that Bear Run doesn't have that. It's a good thing for us.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll note that and correct the minutes. Thank you so much, Karen. Well, yeah, there are a couple of, you probably gathered then there are a couple of folks very interested, seemingly very interested in assisting you.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And get your receipts in so we can reimburse you from petty cash. Nicole, to do that. But this is very exciting. This will be the first year we really get that up and going. And so you've gathered that. You've got between Becca and I think Cheryl, who I don't want to put you on too much, Cheryl, because
no, but I am interested. I didn't know how to interrupt here. I am interested in the pollinator garden and doing, because that's something that interests me. So I don't know if you're going to do an email out, but if it's something that we can do on our own time and just help plant or weed a little bit. I like to garden, and I like flowers, and I like to learn a little bit more from you. So I'm interested in doing that part.
Well, so some of the compost, so can the pollinator garden get some of the compost?
Yes.
For us to put in?
Yeah, we've done it. So each plot in your plot gets 7 buckets.
Okay. So I'd like to put in a wall of sunflowers along the road edge. And also I have various ground cover seeds that I bought for my garden, but also there so that people can see what they look like and how they're beneficial. And then in the middle part of the garden, just be adding pollinator plants that we know are helpful. It's not going to be a huge space, but we can fill it up easily with some annuals, some perennials, and cover plants and the sunflowers.
That sounds great.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. This is really going to make a big difference this year. It's very exciting. Okay, so just to keep on moving here. Looks like Sarah needs to come back in here. There are just 2 other areas that we're kind of toward the end here. We have time for gardener feedback and for new business. And allow me to suggest that let's use this time now maybe to answer questions, particularly about Saturday, so people understand what is happening. So Frank has gone out and marked all the plots that are presumably available. We did this last year. Frank's done it today for that, so it'll be for folks who come. It should be fairly obvious which are which. As I mentioned, Mark and I will be on site, and I'll be there early enough to make sure that, that if people come earlier, I'll have keys. I don't know, Nicole, you said you had a couple of keys too. I've got a dozen.
Literally 2.
Just 2, okay. Yep. All right, so that's not going to make or break this thing. So I'll have keys. If people want a key, they can hand me a deposit. I'll hand them a key. It's not a disaster if you don't have a key, because oftentimes there are people on site. If someone has a key, you'll have access. But we do have the keys made, and they are ready. So folks can come. If you're a new gardener, you can make a selection of your plot. We're anticipating the delivery of the compost somewhere between 9 and 9:30. So folks can then begin to fill buckets so that they can get the compost over it. And if you have extra buckets, that'd be great if you could bring them. We can also kind of show you a little bit about, the tool shed. We do need, to maintain that neatly. It's fairly well marked out. So the best thing is, like anything else, put things back exactly where you found them. And hopefully that would mean that we don't have to go through periodically and sort through things. Yes, Nicole?
Sorry to interrupt, to go back to some earlier business, but Sarah King just put into the chat that she was willing to be the donation gardener. Donation gardener. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's great.
Yeah. I just was wondering, at least I wanted to put it out there, like, I know other people were looking for a second plot. And I was looking for a second plot because I have way too many sweet potato plants and things. And so I don't know if other people, like, I'd be willing to, like, run that. I think I've always been tentative with the donation garden to, like, be like, oh, I have a particular plant that requires certain things. I don't just want to put it in there and not, like, tend to it. So I'd be willing to, like, organize and plant things in it and run it. And if people wanted to volunteer to weed it and stuff, I'd be happy to, like, help them know what to do. But I guess I also wanted to put out there, if other people who wanted more land were, like, had stuff, that's a great way to still plant those things.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Sarah. I don't know if you caught that, Mark is trying to put together a committee to help you work with Mark on that. Now, one possibility could be if an existing gardener like himself says, well, I've established things for, the following, for sweet potatoes, for beans, for peas, whatever it is, and you're looking maybe to do something altogether different, whatever, we could switch off. I mean, the donation garden itself doesn't have to be a specific plot. It could be any plot. We'll just designate it. We got a little sign that we can move and put in. So, for instance, I say that in case if you had an idea of doing something altogether different for your own purposes, and we're willing to have your existing plot be the donation garden plot, that's a possibility if you want to think about that. Or for anyone who is so interested. It doesn't have to be a particular plot.
Well, so Mark was going to lead that. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so you should work with Mark, Sarah.
Great. I'll just talk to him.
Yeah, great.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for catching that, Nicole. I got this thing posted so I can't see my...
I have a couple of comments.
Yes.
If I may. Well, on Saturday, I'll be there later in the day. So if people can't make it in the morning, and you can come in the afternoon, maybe we can switch off. I don't know exactly what time yet, but I know it won't be at 9:30 in the morning. Also, we talked about mulch and the wood chips as good mulch for in between the plots. And I want to add that you can also use the wood chips in your pathways. I don't think it's great to mulch your actual plants, but in between beds, if you make it thick enough, it's really great to keep the weeds away. It really works. And I've also been using leaves. Certain leaves are not good, like oak is too acid, but maple is great. You can collect leaves and put them around your plants, and they make great mulch, and they keep the weeds out and the moisture in. And it lessens the amount of weeding you have to do. I have an excessive amount of strawberries. When I got this plot, there were a lot of strawberries, and I wasn't able to pull as many as I didn't realize it would get so overgrown. And I am planning to just dig out a lot of them. So if anybody wants strawberries, you can go to D5 and dig yourself some strawberries. And Karen, we had talked about you taking some for the pollinator plot too. I don't know if you still want them.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
All right, great.
So Margie, are those easy to transplant?
Excuse me?
Are they easy to transplant?
Oh, yeah.
Very easy.
Tough. Yeah, they're very tough. You can even leave them out on top of the soil, and they'll look dry, but they can't get too dry. But if you plant them, most of them will still survive.
Okay.
They're pretty tough.
Yeah, they are great. Well, thank you for that offer.
Oh, plenty. Just help yourself. And once they bear fruit, please, everybody help yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot.
Yeah. So the point about the wood chips that you remind us again, that's what I was talking about. Those pathways get overgrown, oftentimes with the weeds that we're really trying to avoid. That's why I'm saying one way to kick down the weeds and maintain those pathways is to use those wood chips.
Yeah.
For that purpose. Or maybe we can even get more. Are there any? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Just in case there are gardeners that don't know, new gardeners, hay spreads weeds like mad. Straw is what you want to get if you're getting straw. It doesn't spread weeds, which hay really does. That's all.
No, good point. And that's why I said if you go to Easthampton Feed, they sell the straw, but it's toasted, because you'll see there's always kind of seeds even in straw, but it's been heated, so it shouldn't spread any weeds. That's a really good point. Are there any questions that people have relative to the kickoff, the start on Saturday, that we can answer?
There was that caller at the beginning who had broken their leg.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Hello. Yes. About predetermining which plot you want. Well, which plot do you want?
I would love D12.
D12.
D is in David.
Yes.
Can, for a moment, Stephen, can you stop sharing your screen? Because I would like to make a suggestion about resolving this.
Okay.
Can you wait till Stephen answers this question?
Well, that's what I'm talking about, is answering your question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm talking to, but
no,
anyway.
It's Nicole, and I'm also the one who remembered to bring you back up again. Not that you couldn't have spoken up for yourself, but you were in the back of my mind this whole meeting.
Yes, is that Margie?
No, this is Nicole.
I'm Margie.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, I know that we have a number of new gardeners here this evening, and not everyone has hung into the bitter end, and I appreciate those who have. And I think in the interest of being fair to the other new gardeners, I would like to hear from them about how they feel about, I've forgotten your name, friend, who was waiting for the answer.
It's Becca.
Oh, Becca.
Becca's question about letting her pick her plot tonight. I guess my main concern is, does anyone here who's a new gardener have an objection to that? Seeing shaking heads.
Yeah, so I don't have an objection, but I missed the beginning of the meeting, and so I wasn't quite sure if it was brought up how new gardeners get their plots or how that whole process works.
Happy to touch back on that.
Thank you.
So Saturday we are having like a new gardener day, and folks who are new gardeners can come and register for the plot that they like at that point in time, which is why this caller brought it up at the very beginning of the meeting, has been very patient and waiting for an answer. She has recently broken her leg, and so she's unable to come in person easily, and was asking if we would let her pick her plot tonight.
Because it's first come, first served. So if you're the first one at the garden and you're the first one there making a choice, you obviously have more of a choice than the last person who comes.
Yeah, so we are actually not moving to the area until next weekend. So I don't know if it's possible to send someone in our place or how, I don't think we have a strong feeling. We don't know anything about the garden or plots. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you need a photo ID or anything like that. If you will have someone who, that's why I mentioned it before in terms of the compost with in regard to Becca's situation. Try to get someone to help you. We want to make sure that people get off the fair. Last year, because again of COVID, the way we did it is that people stayed in their cars. It was first come, first served, but we literally did everyone was in line in their cars, so we were careful to make sure that we were maintaining social distancing. I said, I'm going to be there early. It's probably the best way to do it still, so that it's as fair as possible. But it seems as if, Becca, that there's a question raised by Christine, but there's no one seemed to have objected to taking D12. So that'll be. And if others want to have, as Christine, others come in your place, that's fine. Hopefully they have the same taste that you do, the same taste in plants.
I'll make sure to send a good person.
And if they're willing to get the compost at the same time, that'd be great. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, Stephen. So can I confirm, did you say that I can have D12? D as in David?
D as in David, yes. There were no objections that were raised.
So it's mine?
It's yours.
All yours.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yes, I'm going to be there on Saturday, but not really early and not doing the troop around, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yes, because I'm a little slow from the broken thing.
Yeah, of course.
Gotta get well.
No, take it easy.
Oh, this is exciting. This is very exciting.
All right. Well, yes. That's great. Any other questions about Saturday?
I have a question.
Yes.
How early did you say you plan on being there? Because I'm trying to figure out if I can possibly get there before work or something. I don't know.
I indicated 8. Part of the reason for that is because up until today, we weren't 100% certain when the compost delivery was going to be there, so I didn't want to miss that. As Mark mentioned last time, this time of year, it's a little soft there, and we had a stall-out situation last year when we had the delivery, so they may need assistance, and we want to have, obviously, someone on site when they come. So that's why I said, and I still plan to be there at 8.
What time, Stephen?
At 8. And we anticipate the compost to come in somewhere between 9 and 9:30. And I'll have keys for those folks who want a key. Any other questions? The last thing on the agenda then is new business. I have one item for new business that was raised by a new gardener coming in this year. Historically, in our notices, we kind of send out Gmails to folks. We've just done it. We've had a list, an entire list, and the email, the Gmail will go out to the entire list. But there was a request about whether or not, instead of CCing, we do BCCing, so that it doesn't, not everyone's email appears on each and every communication. We thought we would bring that issue up at tonight's meeting to see what people felt. So there is a request to switching to a BCC process, which is as easily done as a CC is, since I generate that. Is there any discussion? Anyone have any preferences or something they would want to add to that?
I just want to say that if people want, I can send people a contact list, because the benefit of just sending everyone on the 2 instead of BCCing is that gardeners can then email each other, because you'll have each other's email addresses. But if that's too much every time, and the person who requested this also pointed out that it's easier to get viruses when you send like long lists of people on the 2 list, that BCC helps prevent viruses. I don't understand that myself. But we can BCC if people prefer, and I can just send a contact list once to everybody, so everybody has everybody's email.
I think contact list is a great idea. I think that it does make sense to make on mass communication amongst the garden, BCC email chain for the sake of just keeping things simple.
It does or it doesn't?
It does, for the sake of people's privacy. People can opt out of a contact list if they don't want to be on it. And keeping it BCC ensures that folks who want to be contacted are on the contact list only.
I'm going to send an email to all gardeners. I will BCC it, and I will ask if it's fine with everybody to receive a contact list, if they want to be on the contact list, and if it's okay to use the BCC option.
Okay. Yeah, so that's fine. And this way, Marty, you can put the those folks who had raised concerns about the CCing back on the list, because we'll just BCC from going forward, okay?
Yeah.
The only other thing before we conclude new business is that we really do want folks to, some people have stepped forward on certain tasks. We do want to double up as much as possible on the kinds of, kind of standing things that we do. For instance, my service as clerk, I would love to buddy up with someone so that there's a backup possibility. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to step up. Otherwise, email me, or I might simply reach out to folks so we can get that squared away too.
Yes, because we need people on the garden committee. We need people.
By the way, we do meet. We've been meeting via Zoom now. It's always the first Thursday of every month. So it's great. You can just kind of come on, you can check in what's happening. You can, basically, it's a great way to inform us, inform each other about what people are experiencing and what's happening. So first Thursday, and you'll get a notice about that, but you can mark your calendar, first Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock. Are there any other pieces of new business that anyone want to raise? Well, we actually have only lost a few people, which is remarkable, only about 5 or so, given the fact that we've been at it for an hour and 3/4. There is, if there's no other additional business or no comments by people, we can accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Who said that? Nicole. Okay, so there's a motion to adjourn. It's been second. All in favor? Say hello. In opposition to adjourning, saying none. So let it be marked at 8:44. The meeting concluded into adjournment. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you Saturday.
Joining.
Thank you.